Welcome in, frenemies. This is the 757 Talk, episode 55. I'm hosting today, Sean, and then I've also got Tim joining me again here. Ryan and Chris are both had some scheduling conflicts, so they're not here this week. Hopefully we get them back next week. I'm going to jump right into the shout-out. I want to shout out to Ryan because the man has won 2 straight games, which I believe is...
It's a record for him.
Yeah, I think he doubled his winnings. He had only 1 win before these 2 weeks. And then he's won them both by like half a point.
Unbelievable.
I know that Chris...
All last minute wins.
Yeah, Chris and David, I know these are rough. And now I play him this week. So I don't want to join that club, but...
One can hope, though.
Oh, no. No. So we'll talk about the playoffs in a little bit. For our kind of fun entertainment here, we're going to go through an NFL spirit animal for each of the guys in our league. And I'm going to have Tim go ahead and kick it off with somebody.
Yep. So we got Phil here. So we've given the analogy of Phil being the New England Patriots in the past. I'd like to stay true with that. I'm going to call Phil Tom Brady. He always wins, even though we don't really want to root for him anymore. It's pretty annoying. He somehow seems to whine about things here and there, or you just don't know how to perceive him. Of what is he doing? Is he whining? Is he just stating it? It's hard to interpret. Is he a cheater? That's going back way far.
Oh yeah, that's
sorry. Digging up. That's a deep wound for me personally. Sorry, Phil
and David.
Not calling you a cheater, but are you? And then so Tom Brady's who I got for Phil there.
Gotcha. All right, I'll do David here. Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, he's just the nicest guy. David, it's just hard to root against him. He's such a nice guy. Super talented, but he just can't seem to win the Super Bowl. I think he's made the playoffs pretty much every year, but he loses in that first round. Can't get that Super Bowl win.
Had a phenomenal touchdown in the Super Bowl against the Steelers.
Yeah.
Still lost.
Just dig Morgan there.
Yeah, sorry, I had to.
All right, and then I'll go ahead and go again here with Joe. Russell Wilson. I think that this is a good analogy for him. He just kind of keeps to himself. We don't hear a ton from him in the chat, but he just keeps dominating. He's dominating our league right now. Now, a lot of that has to do with Christian McCaffrey. So I thought about making you Kyle Allen just because you're riding the coattails of Christian McCaffrey to make you look better, but that didn't work this well for Kyle Allen. But it still is working for you. So.
Yep.
All right, you got somebody else for us, Tim?
So I got Daniel here. This one may sting a little bit, Daniel. No personal offense meant. But I've got you down as Joe Mixon. And this has largely to do with, it was harder to come up with a personality kind of relation to you. So I kind of went with your team. Team looked like it was going to be good. Chris had him top 5. Then something just weird happened. This poor performance to start the season. And then lately he's kind of turned it on the last couple of weeks. So I think that kind of coincides with how your team is doing, ironically. But
it does make sense. He's on his team.
Yep. So I've got you down as Joe Mixon. So nothing personal meant there, Daniel. But
all right, and then let's go ahead and do Tim. Why don't we just get you out of the way here? So Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, that's who I'm comparing you to. So close to that title, but can never win the big one. I think you've been in the Super Bowl 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, something like that.
You just can't. I mean, it's kind of similar to what we had said with David, but you get to the Super Bowl, but you just can't win it.
It's hard.
I know. I'm sure you didn't want to be Matt Ryan.
I don't. But it's okay, especially with how he's playing this year. But
yeah,
I digress. So I'll retaliate then. We got Sean here as Aaron Rodgers. So although Aaron Rodgers does have the Super Bowl win, can't say the same for you. No. Dig intended there, but. It always seems to do really, really well. Really, really consistent in the same spot every year in and year out in contention for the playoffs. But there's always just something hamstringing them. Keep them out of the playoffs, or whether it's literal. I thought that was my best analogy for you there.
Yeah, I have the worst fantasy luck in the whole entire world. So whatever player is that's what player I should be. The worst luck.
Yeah.
Because losing to freaking... David, Tyreek Hill goes out. I would have freaking won that game. Yep. 12 points.
It hurts.
Yeah.
All right, another good one that I thought here was Chris. Eli Manning. Somehow, this dude keeps winning Super Bowls. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody can really identify why this dude is in the Super Bowl. And yet he has 3 of them.
I know.
One with an asterisk. And so it's just... it's just mind-boggling a little bit. Eli
Yep.
Manning is a 2-time Super Bowl champion and MVP of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
Also kind of past his prime a little bit here, Chris. So is Eli Manning. This season's been a rough one for Chris. It's kind of been that awakening here.
Topped it off with losing to Ryan.
Yeah. All right, and then we'll go to Chris's brother, Mike. We don't know Mike that well, but I'll kind of go off of what our preconceived notion was that he was this hyped rookie. He was somebody that was, Chris had talked him up. Oh, he wins all of my leagues that I'm in. He thinks our league isn't good enough because somehow I keep winning, which we agree with you. I don't know why Chris continues to win. But I'm going to say TJ Hawkinson. He's kind of that rookie that everybody wanted to break out, thought he was going to be this, take the league by storm, and it's not breaking the right way for him yet. He just can't seem to get that consistency.
Yep. You've got Morgan over there too.
Yeah, and Morgan, this was the easiest one. He's not playing football anymore, but Gronk.
That's fine because Morgan's not really playing fantasy football anymore. So.
Yeah, it doesn't need any explanation. They're literally the same person, like Gronk, Morgan. They're very, very similar.
Yep.
You got a little smarter. I won't put you into the Gronk head category. Your brains are a little better.
Well, actually, all right. Well, we can talk about this a different day. Gronk is actually wicked smart. Never spent a dime of game checks.
Yeah, I don't know. He's one of those lovable, like just big oafs, and I see that.
He plays
as
his
Morgan.
role well, I think. Yeah. I've got Andy down as Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's got these huge games just out of nowhere, super dominant, and then all of a sudden, poops on the bed. Like it's just real bad. He kind of turned the season around a little bit this season. But again, it's just the inconsistency there.
Yeah.
Not very reliable. He's gonna poop the bed sometimes. You just have to deal with it.
Yeah. And then Leroyce, this is my hoping for forgiveness here by making you Lamar Jackson, who many would say is the MVP of the league right now. And that's why I have you as Lamar Jackson, because I completely doubted you, and I thought your team was not good at all. I think a lot of us did. It's similar to the doubters of Lamar Jackson, and you have just continued to dominate.
Even Jake Seeley just scoffed at his draft the whole time. He's like, "What is he doing?" And it's worked. Doesn't
I
make any
know.
sense.
I don't understand it, but I have to admit it now. That's the same place I am with Lamar Jackson. He is just a good football player. So that was our fun little exercise there. Jump in the chat, guys. Jump in the comments. I'm sure you will have some feedback for these. Take some stabs back at us. I'm all right if you want to give me some player comparisons. I know Aaron Rodgers was too nice.
I'm not Philip Rivers.
Get on the front end of that, Tim. All right, state of the league here. Let's go into a little bit about what's been going on in our league. And we kind of wanted to go over the playoff matchups that might be coming up here because we are all kind of clogged in the middle there. The standings are just extremely clogged to the point where there are, I guess, what do we got? 5 or 6 different teams that are on that bubble, really. You got me, Chris, Daniel, Tim, David, and Morgan that can all still make the playoffs.
We're separated by, I think it's 2.5 games.
Yeah, and the way we play in our league is you can get a half win if you are the top 6 scoring team. So if that's the case, that you can make up 3 games. They're all very much in this race here. We kind of want to go over the schedules a little bit, so we'll go ahead and kick it off with me here. I think I have the easiest schedule, yet I'm somehow extremely afraid that I'm going to screw this up. As we said, something just always goes wrong for me. I have Ryan this week, who, like we said, has somehow taken down some giants lately, and I am very afraid because this is my bye apocalypse. I have Dalvin Cook and Tyreek Hill on bye, which is a huge source of points, and they are both out. And I'm going to be starting, not Nyheim Hines. I'm going to be starting, I don't know. I don't even know who I'm going to start yet at running back. I'm still looking. Oh, Kalen Balazs. That's who I have to start is Kalen Balazs. So I'm very afraid to lose to Ryan this week. But then I play Mike. So 2 matchups that are pretty winnable. I think I should get into the playoffs, but again, I'm scared. Chris's schedule, he's playing David, and then he plays Leroyce. That's a little rough in my opinion.
Yep.
And then Daniel's playing Joe, and then Morgan. So
if he can come out with another win against a top 10 opponent here, I think he has a dang good shot to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I want this to happen. Like I'm going to say that. This would be fantastic if the Turtles, we haven't played his drop in a while.
I like turtles.
If the Turtles makes the playoffs, it's just going to be a better playoff. So, all you got to do is take down Joe. If you take down Joe, I think Morgan's pretty beatable.
I think both of us are pulling for you, Daniel.
Yeah, so just
no offense, Joe, but
take them down. All right, and then go ahead. We got Tim's schedule here. Why don't you go over that?
Yeah,
a
so I'm
little
playing Leroyce this week. That's unfortunate that I have to play him twice in a season.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty disappointed. And then I think one of the most interesting Week 13 matchups is going to be me versus David. I think we're both going to be battling for a playoff spot.
Yeah, that may determine who gets that. It could be like a play-in game. Whoever wins is in, and whoever loses is out.
Yeah. We were scrolling through the matchups there. There's some juicy matchups on both sides, some tough matchups. I think it'll be pretty even. I think it's going to come down to the last game of the day.
So Tim's a little biased, and he's like me where he always thinks he's going to lose. So I'll say it for him. But I think, unfortunately, David, I think his matchups are better that week, and I think Tim pulls out a win that week. So if I had to pick, I think Tim's going to sneak in there.
And if it saves you, David, at all, my defense is New England plays a decent team. I think they play Houston that weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
And so it's not, I don't think I'll expect a 30-point defensive performance like I have in the past against David.
Yeah.
So I can't bank on that for the win. So I'm sure you're very happy about that, David.
Yeah. And then David is the next one on our list here. He plays Chris, and then as we just talked about, that matchup with you. So he's just got to get through Chris. He's currently the 6th in our league, that last playoff spot. So it's all in your hands, David. You win, you're in. That's basically where you stand. And then we have Morgan here. I feel like we shouldn't have Morgan here. I'm sorry, Morgan.
He technically can still make the playoffs.
He can.
He has to upset Phil this weekend, and then he has to beat Daniel, both of whom we kind of favor in that matchup. So
yeah,
I think it's a tough stretch. Probably the hardest route to the playoffs is for Morgan, with yourself being the easiest.
Yeah, I wanted to look at his team here because I feel like it's just really bad. Yeah, he's got Jared Goff, Kenyon Drake, Raheem Mostert, Hunter Renfrow, Odell Beckham Jr., Zach Ertz, Randall Cobb, and the Raiders defense. Oh, he's got Derrick Henry. So, but yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
It's a little ugly.
I'm sorry, Morgan. It would be fun to have you in the playoff. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. But you're not last. Last year, he was the last place team, so Ryan's kind of taken that torch from him. Oh, I wasn't really a part of this discussion here, but if you want to kind of explain to the listeners and then go over, I guess, explain to me, what the heck was going on in the chat yesterday with this tiebreaker? Do you even understand what's going on with this?
So I had to read through it a couple times, to be honest. I think it just essentially came down to wins being a tiebreaker and then win percentage.
Okay.
Or with similar records, they were looking at record as a whole, and I think they were just looking at the win column as being a tiebreaker. I think we had established in the past that is not the case, that it's not necessarily just the wins in the win column, it's the overall win percentage.
Factoring in those
because
losses.
We've included these points wins, getting a half point for the win. I think you really have to evaluate. You can have a very inflated win percentage essentially if it's not, basically you shouldn't have a worse record if you have the same number of wins if that team has more losses than you. That's not the same. So it was my perspective. I think we ran into this last year when we implemented it, and that I thought there was a time that I was below somebody in the playoffs. They had more losses than I did. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't make sense. So I think we came up with that win percentage to kind of address that, to kind of have a better value for the wins and more of a value for the losses.
Now, the question I had was, because I didn't really hear anybody talking about this in there, I thought there was a little confusion on what actually constitutes as a tie. Because does it have to be exact same record or amount of wins? Because that's, kind of similar to what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So in my perspective, the way I perceived that rule is that in order for it to be a true tie, is that you have to have the same win percentage, so the same number of wins and losses. In my perspective, I did not think it was a tie if both teams had 14 wins.
Yeah.
But one team had 5 losses.
The discussion
and one team had 4.
was kind of brought up because Daniel did some accounting research and was looking into, if there was any way that Phil could lose that first round bye, and he said, calculated all this stuff to figure out if all this happened perfectly, then Phil might be able to lose it because of a 3-way tie. And so that's kind of how we got into this. But that's kind of what I wanted to bring up, just because I'm on your side. I think that if I think the records have to be exactly the same to constitute that three-way tie.
I think that's what the vote was for in the chat there.
That's what I was confused at.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that we walk away with, in order for it to be considered a tie, it has to be the same wins and losses.
Yeah.
Not just wins alone. So I'm hoping that's where we stand.
Yeah, because it gets complicated because you could have a two-way tie or a three-way tie, and you could have two of the teams that have the same exact record, but the other team has the same amount of wins. So do you count that? And I think it just has to be, it'll go to the two-man tie first,
right,
if they have the same exact records, and then we'll settle that one.
Yep.
So, and then obviously if they have a better win percentage, then they would be above or below.
Again, I'm still advocating for Ryan to go to law school so he can write our bylaws. But.
Yeah, this league, we literally need that. So. All right, well, that's all we had for you guys this week. Like I said, jump in those comments, give us the business, and thanks for listening, guys. Bye.